versions for that. Alright, final one. So I'm going to delete that weirdy one. I'm going to pretend that we've done a good job on this, and I'm going to show you a couple of really quick tricks for making this look more airbrushed and sort of ready for magazine print cover sort of thing. Might be necessary. Sometimes it looks a little bit over the top, but let's see how it goes. So we've got our copy. I'm going to duplicate that, and I'm going to duplicate that a second time. So I'm going to have 3 copies of that, like so. The middle copy, got the original. Let's turn that on. Middle copy. Let's turn that on, and I'm going to blur this. So I'm going to go to filter. I'm going to go to blur. I'm going to go to Gaussian blur. And Gaussian blur has the advantage that we can adjust the radius of it. And do zoom in on this. You have the option to turn preview on and off. And what I'm trying to do is just drop down some of the blemishes a little bit more. I don't want to overdo it. I don't want it to look completely blurry. I do want to see a bit of the skin, but you know, just some of these real sort of in between blemishes that sort of start showing themselves. We just want to knock those down a little bit. So don't overdo it. Alright, so there it is there. If we have a look, it's, you know, can see a bit of variation there. Now what we want to do with this is we don't want the main detail parts to be blurry. So we still want some sharpness in places like around the mouth, the eyes, maybe where the nostrils are, the hair, and all the stuff like that. So what we're going to do now is we're going to mask this blurry one. I'm going to rename this blur as well. Let's keep it all happy. Let's drop a mask on that, and using this mask, selecting on that, I'm going to go B for brush. I'm going to select black and start off with a nice reasonable sized brush, again soft, and I'm going to gradually start brushing back the details. So as I start erasing the blurred one, it's going to start bringing back the detail of the original underneath, so I can bring those back. And essentially I'm bringing it back to the point where it's still going to look like the original, except just where those sort of skin areas are going to look a little bit sharper. So the clothes I definitely want to have just as sharp, and the others not so much. So you can see I can kind of turn that on and off, and hopefully what we should have is we should just have just a little bit that's going to sort of fix up those little blemishes on the skin. And again, this is another one which just takes a bit of subtlety to sort of get it there. So that's all well and good, and I'm actually going to ramp up this blur again. I'm going to go filter, blur, Gaussian blur again, zoom in, and I'm going to overdo it just for demo purposes, so we can really start to see, you know, before, after, and you know, again, brush back where you want the details. If you're accidentally bringing back details that you won't, don't stress, switch back to white and you can start blurring out again. Cool. So the next one, all very well and good, but let's start thinking about other ways we can ramp up the detail. Now this next one actually applies to if you want to do older characters as well, but there's this top layer which I did, which is our third duplicate, and I haven't really done anything with this one. We've got our blurred one, which looks really weird without the detail, and then I've got the original underneath. Now with this one, this very top one, I'm going to use a filter where I go filter, other, and high pass. So it's quite close to the bottom of the filters. Filter, other, high pass, and this is going to add a really weird effect. I'm going to keep it fairly low to start with, and then ramp it up. what this does is kind of finds contrast, a bit like a bump map, and it's going to really start ramping up some of the details. And I'm going to hit OK. We don't want to have it too high, we don't have it too low, but I just want to see if we can pick up some of these details like so. I'm going to hit OK, and that looks weird by itself. So I'm going to change the blend mode here to something like overlay, and what you'll see is that actually just ramps up some of the details. You may wish to try soft light, it's a little bit more subtle, but it really does sharpen. You know, if you look around the eyes, for example, it just sharpens up the contrast and really makes them pop out a little bit more. So we've still got a bit of the blur happening with that, but you may also wish to add a mask to this detail one. And once again, if you really want to, if you're really pushing to get that cover photo look, you know, we can start you know, masking back further and getting those, you know, nice blurred areas out a little bit more, even further. So there you have it. You know, quite a few little things going through there. Do check out the videos for this if you're not sure. You know, run through the process. These same processes are going to be required over and over and over again. So once you get the hang of it, adding masks, healing tools, stamp tools, even brushing, dodge and burn, stuff like that, really going to use.